They went and called, but Grandma's place was closed off. It was in a somewhat isolated area. They didn't want to risk closing the door, nor did they want to interfere and cause problems. They told my late mother, may her parents rest in peace, that one of her children must go to see what was happening. I was sitting with my brother when someone was shouting at us, Abdelkader, Ahmed, come here, come here. We went to him and asked, what happened? What happened? My mother was sitting and crying. What's wrong, Mom? Why are you crying? She said, it's not easy. Tell me what you've got. We replied, what do you mean, what do we have? He said, at school, what else could it be? I told him I'm in college and attendance isn't mandatory. He asked, what about the exams you're doing? Are you doing exams? I replied, not yet, exams are coming up. He turned to my brother Ahmed and said, what about you, Ahmed? What about your exams? My brother said, I don't have much left and I'll do the exams. He asked me, will you be able to study at home? I said yes, but he cut me off. No buts, that's not acceptable. Even if I went back to work, I would take you with your mother to the farm and then come back. He said, yes, no arguments. Come along. The farm was in bad condition. We survived together. We decided to visit our grandmother and return to our normal state. What's the matter, he told me. Now you'll go alone no matter what. Even I wanted to go. I wanted to go to school. Go to the man behind you. Walk with us. We need to be 2 people, he said. You know, the place is isolated. The world is empty. At least you went. I'll stay home. This is necessary. We need to be 2. What if something happens? Don't worry, my siblings. It's impossible to leave my mother alone, whether she's with him, my brother, or me, especially when traveling. We left and arrived at a remote and isolated place. Of course it was frightening. We quickly gathered our belongings. We didn't have phones or anything, just some books and a small Quran for reading. My brother had an MP3 player to listen to music. The place was a village in the middle of the mountains, far from everything. The sun didn't shine properly, except in the morning and evening. During that time the journey was challenging, and even though it wasn't night, the road and the village were unsettling. The house itself was outside the village. No, not directly in the village. There was a small mosque and about 5 or 6 houses. It was filled with people, surrounded by a small forest. Reaching it required an hour of climbing and descending. The village was about 100 kilometers away, not very far but on the road, traveling at 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. It felt longer. We arrived, but my brother Ahmed started bleeding and we were obviously worried. That's why, despite our slight relief, we were very concerned for her. May God grant her peace if anything happens to her. By sunset, we didn't have much left to travel. The road was blocked, a closed road where we couldn't continue. Rocks were in the way, and those passing by would understand the situation immediately. He stopped and told me, "What are you waiting for? Go remove the rocks so we can move on." He told her, "Wait, just wait." She asked, "Why are you waiting?" He replied, "We'll see." Suddenly 4 men appeared. To the right was a cliff, and to the left was the mountain. When I saw them, I asked him, "What's going on? What do they want from us?" He told me to stay quiet. Then he started looking at the men, wondering whether to confront them. He decided to go forward. These 4 men were clever. It was their job. One of them threw a net with spikes to puncture the tires. When my father saw it, he stopped the car. He didn't know what to do. One of them approached and said, "We don't know you. What do you want here? Give us something valuable and you can leave." My father smiled slightly, reached under his seat and held his weapon. He didn't show it but was ready to use it if necessary. The man said, "We don't mean harm, but if you have something valuable, give it to us." My father replied, "Even if I give you something, what will I do when I return?" Eventually they let us go after my father introduced himself and mentioned his family. They seemed to recognize the name and apologized, allowing us to continue. Later it turned out these men were locals from the village who lived off theft and intimidation. Despite their criminal ways, they respected certain families. We thanked God and moved on.